Also, why you're not learning languages properly? Equally as in previous time, it was important. Maybe it's not the best parallel, but what I want to say is that since it has been established that a Serb Cyrillic alphabet is closer to hieroglyphs, why on earth you're not learning by now that these languages? So I don't need to remind you every single day what certain word means, and basically my entire work is based on my ability to read certain words and get information out of it. Certainly it is based on the way how my life turned to be. But now I'm listening now someone talking of Ramadan, and I cannot not notice the sound of that word. It means Ram-adan, which means to frame, Ram to frame, Dan day. That word means to frame a day. And English are calling it Holy Ramadan and full of respect of it. For God's sake, learn for once these languages that are as important as to understand the sunlight as well. And as you found out that the sunlight is very important for your life and for the purpose of your living, where knowledge is in parallel dimension to sunlight, isn't it not? Well, then why on earth you don't equip yourself with suitable knowledge but sound like a ship for another day? And then perfectly go into citizenship for another day. Am I supposed to spend my day here explaining to you basics? For God's sake, learn that alphabet, learn that language. For God's sake, learn that language so you bring the sun on earth finally in dimension of being knowledgeable to suitable, acceptable level. Or as a moment, really, you're living as a bunch of sheep on this earth. What Ramadan on earth you're respecting here? What's there to be respected? Can't you say how into what that translates? To frame a day. It translates into what's happening to me in my life. You don't just repeat words like that. And now you're going to respect that as well? Because Muslims are entitled to their whatever. They're entitled to proper existence on this planet with the rest of the population of this planet. And if they're not capable to do so, then they're entitled to absolutely nothing. And where it is that place from where we are going to explain to people how they should be living their life, by the way. Where you're going to hear that monarchy, that Pamela slash Camila, a part of exercising the latest of the edition of their English language accent, where you're going to find them speaking to people like that. What on earth you're talking about? Where is the point from where you're going to start advising people how to start living their lives, since we have established they're living it in the wrong way on this planet? They're living it wrongly. When on earth you're going to start explaining to them how they should be living their lives? And have I not asked for that place, for that position? Why for another day you continue to babble on my account? Muslims are not going to go away with their religion out of that. That's now going away. We have to examine religions completely differently. But this is 21st century, for God's sake. And you, Americans, continue to hold some kind of higher level to walk our entire earthly civilization without passing rightfully your exam that would confirm that you are up to that task. Or we should start seeing you as we should need to see you, as a part of the problem. As that is how it is one more day with you leading the world. And I'm not talking collective before I'm going to talk myself as a person, because I deliver this communication as a person, not as a collective. This is also a very important aspect that it should be noticed. Why I have decided to talk to a world not being at homeland. Why I have not found critical important to return at homeland and then talk to the people. Why I distance myself from them. And why I'm asking for a place that is going to continue to be distant from them. First of all, because I want to make clear that I'm speaking in the name of the planet, not in the name of these territories. As they have problem to understand very often what is the difference between planet speaking and them speaking. And someone need to heal them from that as well. And secondly, because they have not done any work in recent history where they are going to start talking about their previous cultural settings with more critical analysis, more critical approaches, and more reformistically. I doubt they are capable to do something like that either. But that's altogether a reason why I cannot deliver this level of work from these territories. Because they're not capable to spell out word reform. They're simply mentally not capable to do that. They're not up to that level for some reason. It is much easier for them to continue to repeat all of the previous than to stand up in their own name and start thinking in their own name. It's just impossible to happen on such territories. Just impossible. Well, how on earth I can align with someone like that? So we are alike, but we are not completely the same, and that will need to be noticed as well. And that will need to be noticed as well. And let's also notice that declaring one state wrong does not mean that the other is ultimately correct. By declaring Americans wrong yesterday, it has not been said Russians are automatically correct. First of all, Russians are too big territory to be that much synchronized on literally anything. Secondly, we just don't know anything about Russia. We have not been discussing with Russia about any of the principal subjects we have been discussing with this work. Next, Russia is actually not even Russia anymore. Russia is not free country. Real Russia was defeated in last century by killing the entire monarchical family there. That is when Russia was actually literally executed. And it was easy then to take over the ships of Russia as it is general population. The overtake was done by international, that is mostly Western capital. Russia was lost in last century by Western capital that launched entire socialism revolution as a matter of cleaning a territory from intelligence and making it into obedient shipyard as what they have become now. The next generations, the ones that were survived last century, would be scared enough as they're living in a regime. You just notice how the population was handled when it was in question Navalny situation. People have been brought in prison because they were attending a funeral or they were expressing taking side or being sorry for Navalny. Now, would something like that happen in any other democratic country or in any free country? That is not free country. That is tightly regime country, and it is being managed as a regime country, which means, and the intention is to scare the population, their intelligence, to scare them. The intention is to scare their own people and to keep them in regime conditions. So we continue to have a regime in Russia, but that regime is not Russian. That regime is a Western regime. Equally as it is a Western regime in Israel, where you can see the president does not look anything as a Jewish person. A regime is equally Iran. Regime is Afghanistan. Entire Middle East is in regime. And then they are enforced to go religion, and then they are dancing around the Mecca with Ramadan. First of all, it's being denied to them democracy and modern approach. Thrown into religion again. Read regime. And ordered to devote themselves to value system dictated by religion. In such a way, continuing to spread the antagonism on the global stage, and then someone as myself is going to say, understand the word Ramadan. Yes, but also understand the fact that people are enforced to continue to be in over-traditional lifestyle there. Also, majority of them would, as any other young people, would be inclined to be much more accepting more Western lifestyle that is in promise of providing some kind of freedom and free living outside of over traditional and very dull and old-fashioned approaches to life and organization of life and value systems. Their young people are not that much happy to continue to be differentiated from the rest of the planet with such obsolete value systems. They would like to be modern as the rest of the people in the rest of the world. They're enforced to live in such conditions. So we are going to conclude entire Russia is occupied territory, entire Middle East occupied territory. Balkan, that is southeastern Europe, occupied territory. Europe, occupied territory. By whom? By deep state. That today is very much coincidentally deep state of America. And it can be recognized mostly around what I'm going to recognize as a Celtic/Irish deep state, which turned to be the most powerful one. That is the one associated to also Scotland, Ireland, the one that would have been creating Khazaria in previous century, one of the most notorious states at the times. After a dissolution or defeat of Khazaria, the population went south. Macedonia has been created. Today, Macedonia has become a centerpiece. Today, their entire Western politics, together with Israel. Another prolonged hand of theirs, since the religion emerged, since the days of equally here defeating of actual imperial establishment or situation in ancient Macedonia, being replaced with marionette positions, and that would be Macedonia. That would follow after the defeat of actual ancient kingdom. That was rather melting somehow with Roman imperialism and Israel, that would continue to be prolonged hand to present days. It is how we are to notice the deep state operates still to present days and control to present days the entire world. Americans are also being held in condition of regime. Their we have enormous basin of rotten children continue to be created on that territory. Any immigrants being transformed into rotten children. Basically annulling the intelligence that would come from other territories, trying to control it, trying to enslave it, or alternatively would kill it, as that is how they would relate to person of my kind. This is enormously devastating force. Someone might connect it to reptilians. It might rightfully be connected to reptilians. It might rightfully be connected to reptilian population that is situated under the ground still. Although I do not believe that much in such stories, but the fact is that we have enough some solid evidence that would open the ground to this possibility as well. I have not noticed, following the psychology of entire monarchical family in England in the last 10 years, I'm going to notice they have been also hostages actually to this entire situation. And it is to be noticed that actually any reference to star system is also reference to hostage situation, including follow the flags to flag of America and how the stars on that flag are being squared, literally cornered or framed, should I say. I have to notice here that it might be that we also talk about Tribunal Serbia, and above all Tribunal Serbia, because I'm going to notice Serbia. Yeah, but also yeah, I'm going to notice that Tribunal Serbia very much associates to very hardcore, very evil, very inhumane approach to existing on this planet. And I might be, I'm overlighting, I'm overlighting Ireland and Celts and overweighting them, considering the fact also that I belong much more on that branch. And I am over tolerant to Serbs. Well, actually, they appear to be my fierce opposition to present times, and I am not even aware actually how it would be what would be difference. I might be shooting constantly in my own feet, continuing to defend something that I have not been examined enough to begin with, and which is very uncareful, very quite a downfall of my entire work, that I have not actually examined properly entire Serb deep state in all of the historic times before I continue to defend it or assume I belong to that part of identity charting. Well, actually appear to be that I'm much more on the thick side. And where I have to notice, if the one of the brothers would be cell thick, then the other, that is the Serb, would not be actually cell thick, but would be cell slim. And the one that is to be accused the most about the wrongdoings on the planet is cell slim. And that might be that Serbia I need to talk about. That continue to be centerpiece of all of the evilness, notoriousness, and wrongdoing. Hardcore narrow-minded. That I continue to ignore. And I continue to accept for some unknown reasons. For reasons of living for a longer period of time on such territories and being part of the families, part of the breed, and understanding the national identity in much more, from much more personal window. And then all of a sudden someone is like taking away from you that kind of ID that you strongly associate to. It's somehow very, very complex appear to be situation here. And are we going to really find this answered within this such territorial polarization, where actually the identities exist on both sides of the equation when in question territories or geographic locations, then we have both sides of the identities present on both sides. In any case scenario, we have very notorious politics that would be certainly associated to Serbia, to ancient Serbia, and I continue to soften that, continue to diminish it, continue to ignore it, and it might be that I'm overweighting responsibility to Ireland and to Celtic. It might be that I am too much lightening the responsibility of actual Serbia and actual and deep state of Serbia. I have not done any investigation, so I'm just, one would rightfully say, walking in the blind. I am majorly recognizing various records, various conducts, and various events happening within larger historic times. And in most of the times, I'm insisting on individual presence and on mixed bloodlines. But occasionally, I tend occasionally to jump into this kind of rather hypnotic state and to hold to Serbia. I'm very sure, rightfully, because there is my presence of my character. I can see on television also they're pulling out certain identities. There is a solid presence of my character in Serbia basin. And it's not that exactly Ireland defines itself by my character. And that is what majorly instructs me to notice where would be more my basin and where is not that much of a my basin. And I notice Northern Ireland and how people are being treated there. And I cannot exactly here be that much wrong to say there is extremism, there is extreme violation in Ireland when it comes to identity question. There is extreme discrimination in Ireland when it comes to identity questions here. I have to notice also approach to intelligence. I have not been convinced that these territories understand intelligence and respect intelligence. Well, in Serbia, that's not exactly the case. I have noticed that the centerpiece of not respecting intelligence is in New Zealand, Australia, run by Irish backyards and by American backyards. And that has not been done by the centers in Serbia, it has been done by the centers in Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. And it might be it was a downfall to live in such remote islands with that kind of sentiment of some kind of profound historic dominance, speaking of that genetics that has been deployed from Ireland here on Australia and New Zealand. And it might be that code that deployed here on New Zealand and Australia transformed New Zealand and Australia in such kind of deep state territories as they turn to be today. And together with America, that equally unfortunately became prevailing on the deep state philosophy. Also new continents taken by deep state philosophers. Today has become the biggest downfall to all of the humanity. And literally holding the entire humanity hostage to civilization and actual civilizational development. Now let's notice that. And let's think about that, ladies and gentlemen, for another day. That is where we are right now, as huge issues. America is soaked in deep state platform, together with their deep state White House. And I don't think they would know how to get out of it. We need proper approach. It's very dangerous to promote Russians, which are not Russians anymore, which are the biggest regime of the territory of the world. It is very dangerous to go step back. Accepting Russia as a correct answer versus America is going step backwards. We have done that in last century. We're not going to repeat it again. It's critically important that you understand. I have asked for England to be given to me as a working room. That is all you have. Earthians today. That is all you have. Play it wisely. Play this wisely. Follow me on what I have said here. I'm not going to interest Jewish people. They have been playing Judah together with Macedonians for a longer period of time. I'm not going to trust anyone, and I don't need to entrust anyone. My approach is to hold territories responsible for living on their own territories. Why on earth they need to entrust anyone? I entrusted the earth. That should be just good enough. Let's go for another day, Earthians. Think wisely. Think sober. And here it is, another day I have been used as a useful idiot. And some immediate sudden changes are all of a sudden in promise to happen in government of America, but not in England. In England is nothing moving, but in America we are a step away from closing the house. Excuse me, guys, under which directive exactly? Under directive of the invisible ghosts? No, no, and no. That is not how someone is going to bring reform in 21st century. Not under spell and leadership of ghosts. No. Therefore, we talk about the deep state and profound presence of deep state, and that continues to be the case. We cannot accept such risk, someone to continue to talk about this kind of changes or this kind of war making and this kind of events happening again, taking place as it was coronavirus. But we have not solved yet the question of deep state, where that is profoundly, clearly holding monarchies as their puppets and use the protocol monarchy for cover-up operation as a curtain behind which they continue to gather and do whatever they wish. And then we go away talking about God and hands of God, while in substance we are talking about the devil. And don't talk to me about military or whatever without having strict defining center where we are going to define this entire constitutional plan I'm talking about, this entire issues that we need to deal with and to clarify the entire situation on the field. Military would have absolutely no value. They continue to be puppets for invisible hands. It's a very dangerous situation, and we need to solve it. The monarchy, I just can't understand how monarchy of England can sustain for another day. What on earth exactly these people stand for? They stand for nothing else but playing cork on top of the bottle of wine. Well, I would not certainly like to define myself as a wine, but they are certainly playing the cork for sure. Or maybe cup of tea. Yes, exactly. Cupping the tea. Tea means you, the other, the real monarch in this case scenario. Can you please notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the first step you have to do is to take that monarchy of England, because it is completely fake event, and to replace it with the real monarch, that is myself and my work, before any out there of you continue to see themselves legitimized or legitimate to do anything about this planet in the time being. Verdict for today. And yes, I'm going to notice, Grandpa Ireland, also that you have managed to create something that overcome even you, and that is your son of Serbia. You have created masterpiece there for sure, that you might be the most proud of. Probably it is your favorite. Even God would not create something like that. So I'm going to ask the planet to especially pay attention to favorite son here, playing at the moment Batman. without asking for permission. But since when gods are asking for permission, that would not make any sense, isn't it? And that is exactly where I'm going to find Charles is puppeting it all together, and the entire monarchy of England is following it all together, because they have become entertainment cabaret for quite some time altogether. And if you think that I hardly wait to inherit something like that, you're very wrong. So I'm going to ask you to stop behaving as it is about to celebrate something or it's some festival ahead, because nothing of this sounds to me exactly as a promise to something like that for quite some time. Maybe it would be festive under your terms, but it is nothing to be festive under my terms. And to be in disagreement with someone that you have decided to still give that much of a role is quite of an issue. In other words, what I want to say is I represent the beauty of this world, and you represent the ugly side of it. And you need me each time so I can reflect that beauty behind which you will continue to spread your ugliness. I hope I have now made it clearly enough how challenging I'm going to find your words as well to be used in any normal, meaningful way, without one not in need to be literally exhausted while explaining their goodwill approach. With that kind of wordings you have provided in arsenal of your vocabulary. Accordingly, let's be reminded, I'm bringing forward 2 millenniums of examination. Then we talk examination. And to the extent that someone continue to play football with my work as I'm the ball and the players are Americans and Russians for another day, I want to clarify to Russians, I complain about my freedom, and equally as you are very much appreciative of your freedom, it is to be recognized that this is my work, a work of another country that also today cry for freedom. And what I'm saying here, I don't want countries as you or Americans to confiscate my work and to use my work and deny my work to territories where I am being born. That is quite enough of a freedom question. I don't know how someone would translate my freedom question as a matter of their freedom question. For another day. Message to Americans. Donald Trump commenting things went under control. He is going to sort out events. The fact is they are sitting in Belgrade since demolition of Yugoslavia, and the situation is as such because of them being there, and because that is a proxy situation of Americans directly and of deep state directly, and Donald Trump is part of the house. And if he does not want to be part of the house, then he should not run after the flag of the house without saying anything about amending anything. What we want to be amended and to find Americans get the hell out of territories that they call occupied territory for a longer period of time. If that's not clear enough, now let's understand the real freedom question here. And by the way, we are not talking about Joker, we are talking about the famous James Bond of last century. And how James Bond became devalued asset. And what is the situation we need to deal with on this planet? The someone continue to speak of human factor as asset. And before Trump open mouth to talk about he is going to sort anything, we need to have heard or understood properly the actual issues. One being they're occupying territories on this planet and making proxy wars and using and vandalizing local population, using and misusing local population. And we don't want Trump to get there. We want Trump to get out from there. As they have been there for 2 millenniums, holding the entire region in a regime state of condition. Have I not said that properly already? Americans. Let's bring the conversation on more intelligent level again here, and let's notice how far the people of America especially are surrounding around Trump to lead them. And he continued to play, or whoever is the president, and he continued to play his wish list benefactor. And then we talk about Trump going in some other country. He's not going as a Trump person, Trump. He's going as the person that is in promissory to American people, to a good percentage of American constituency that he is representing. From where my question is, and why we would like these people to walk over our little country? Can't they notice how big territory they have out there in that America, how large territory that is? Would they not be ashamed to continue to walk over our little countries and to expect some kind of godly divine lights to come always on their shoulders and bless them for another golden age of 50 years? It is the recipe book, some kind of almanac that they need to stop following, because it looks like as some kind of programmed minds, and human becomes programmed artificial intelligence literally, that continue to behave in very funny and unreasonable way in substance. How can anyone explain American presence of American people in that little territory as is the Balkan, considering the fact what large territory they have, and they have no idea what to do with it? Isn't it not more fair to say to focus on their own territory rather than continue to think that they will be ever part of solution in some other territory? And was it my discussion of today call for them to come on our land? Is that what I was talking about today? It is time to ask what foreign forces are doing on our territories while continue to talk about their freedom for another day. While in the same time they are the biggest freedom usurpators on the planet when it comes to regional territories. Why Russians would assume that when they're talking about me and my work, that it is in question, their freedom question? How on earth it is their freedom question? But it is not my freedom question.